Remember the zones? This is we touched on this in an earlier discussion where I introduced the concept of zone play, what I call zone play. And I want to go a little deeper into each zone and describe sort of what goes on in each of these zones. And I want to start with what I consider to be the trickiest of the zones, which is this transition zone. So let's isolate Mr. Transition, and you're going to ask me, well, why is it so tricky? It's tricky because I said. It's tricky because it's asking a lot out of you. Number one, it's a one ball zone. So this means you got to get out of the zone. You can't be playing the point in here. You hit it and go forward, or you hit it and go back. So that means you got to decide. That's trick number one. You have to know what it is you want to do. Trick number two, it is a psychological and geographic change, right? You got to change your position, and you're moving, transitioning from neutral to offense if you choose to come in. That means you got to change your grip, you got to change your mind. You start thinking about offensive opportunities, not just purely keeping the ball in play. And number three, your effectiveness here in this offensive zone is directly related to how well you hit this ball or how smartly you play this shot. So let's see. Let's get your opponents out here on the field and do some battle. We'll have that's you there, always you, thinking about that. And let's have your partner come on to play. Okay, so let's say you get drawn up into this zone. And when we talk about zones, we're talking about your feet being in this zone, not the ball. If the ball landed here, it would bounce and you'd be playing it from back here in the neutral zone. So it's where your feet are. So the ball comes in short, you find your feet in here. This is you, you're moving up, and you got to play the ball. Now, if you decide you're coming in, well, the shot that makes sense, we've already talked about the percentage shot, is this shot. This moves you here. If you make the mistake down here, it leaves that hitting lane in between the two of you, and we talked about that in the hitting lanes. We don't want to present hitting lanes. So here's our high percentage shot. And let's say we decide, well, we're going to come up. Okay, so we move up into this position. Now you could see, if I come up here and I hit the ball 300 miles an hour, and remember, our assumption is it's always coming back. We're not counting on winners. It's coming back. So if I were to hit the ball 300 miles an hour from here, just to be extreme, I'd get about 1 inch. It's tough to volley from here. I'd still be in the transition zone. So the shot that I'm hitting has to buy me enough time. It has to keep player X away from me, as far away from me as I can, and it has to buy me the time to get into this position here. Let's say I decide that I want to go back. Maybe we'll say player X is up. I was drawn into this position here, and now I want to hit a ball that's going to get me back. So this shot still makes sense over here to player X, and it's got to buy me the time to get back and get into position. So again, if I hit this ball, if I overplay it, hit it too hard, it's not going to give me the time to get back into position. So we'll go more into depth into this zone too later on as a more of an advanced concept, but I want to introduce this idea that this play in this zone is really difficult for the reason that it directly, how you play here, directly influences your effectiveness here or your effectiveness back here. And it's also this transition, not only geographically, but also psychologically into the offensive zone. So I hope that helps out, makes a little sense, and if not, I'm sure I'll hear about it. Thanks again for your time.